Hi guys, Daniel here, Technical Manager from Rubio Monocoat UK. Today we're going to be looking at an on-site flooring application for the Oil Plus 2C system. If you're not familiar with the Oil Plus 2C, the system itself is a one-coat guaranteed wax oil finish for timber floors, furniture and kitchen tops. Okay guys, before we actually start the oiling process, the most important thing of the whole process, of course the preparation, is the sanding. So generally for floors, we recommend a 120 sanding grit, and of course the most important thing is to make sure that the edges of the floor match the base of the floor. Otherwise what happens when you apply specifically a pigmented oil or a pigmented finish, what you'll see is that the edges will perhaps be darker or lighter, but depending on the prep you've used, than the base floor. So what we do have is we have a product called Rubio Monocoat Cleaner, and this product is an electrostatic cleaning product, so it will pull off all the dust off the floor, and also I highly recommend it if you're using an exotic timber. Okay guys, so now we're just going to get to the cleaning process, and we're going to just get a rag, pour out some of the cleaner onto my rag. It's fairly simple, literally just get your rag soaked and then just start the cleaning process there. What we do is we soak up the dust, and then generally it'll take about, depending on the quantity you apply, take about 15 to 20 minutes to fully dry. And then what will happen is that the actual timber itself will have a slightly paler look to it, and then you know it's ready to go. So actually the interesting thing about the Rubio, which I didn't touch upon earlier, although I did say I'd run through the perks, etc. as we go on, the system itself, it doesn't overlap or leave streak marks, so that allows us to actually do the edges. So when we do a floor, we'll do the edges first, and then we'll buffer the rest of the floor with the machine. So we're going to start with the edges. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mix the two components. I didn't mention that earlier, but the Rubio Monocoat is a two-component wax oil system. You can use it as a single component. The problem you have there is the curing is very long, so it's 21 days curing. So we mix the two components together, 3 parts oil, 1 part hardener, and then that reduces the curing from 21 days down to 5 to 7. So I'm just going to give that a quick mixture now. The mixing ratio is 3 parts oil, 1 part hardener. So what I'm going to do, because it goes so far, what I tend to recommend is to mix half the pot by eye. So half the hardener, half the oil by eye. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour a little bit of oil onto the edges here and then just scrub it in by hand. I've scrubbed the oil thoroughly into these edges here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get a nice rag and we're just going to thoroughly rag off all the surplus oil. Now what's important as well is you need to remember, don't leave the surplus oil sitting longer than I'd say 15-20 minutes, otherwise it will become harder to remove. So what's also interesting, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't overlap or leave streak marks. So say if someone left a bit of mess there, a bit of oil, as long as you rag that surplus off, when I do the rest of the floor, it will blend in. It's very nice. So now I'm just going to thoroughly rag off all the surplus oil. And then when I buff in the oil to the rest of the floor, I will try and hit these edges again with the buffer as well. Okay guys, so I'm just going to pour some oil and try and get that to center the pad. Just pour a bigger, we use a bigger pool in the beginning to wet the pad up, and then as you go along you find it becomes easier to work with. So I'm just going to lift that up. On there. Back there. Guys, this is arguably the most important part of the process. So we've put a white pad on there, which is just a little bit softer than the beige pad. And I'm going to go over this manageable area that I've worked on thoroughly with the white pad and just pick up all the surplus. And then I will just continue in zones, and because it doesn't overlap, which I've done no problems. Okay guys, so I've scrubbed in the oil thoroughly, put the white pad on, I've buffed off all the surplus, and it's important that even straight away you've got a touch dry finish. As you can see, I'd say I've probably, the total liquid is about 350 ml, so I'd say there's about 100 there, so we've used about 250 ml on this floor, and you can see the pad is pretty much ready to swap now, you know. And yeah, so there we go. The drying time on the finish, as I mentioned, is 12 to 24 hours drying time, full cure 5 to 7 days. And just one last thing that I didn't mention, there is a pot life on the finish, so once you've mixed the two components together, it's 4 to 6 hours, and then you have to get rid of them. And yeah, there we go.